On this episode of the Pen Clique Poetry Podcast, we got the lion-like mind state maestro himself, Judah 1. And for the top of the two-piece combo, we're reviewing Phil Kaye and his poem, Suburbia. Lastly, the Clique pulled out all the receipts during the hashtag poetry review by MS Reflections. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please subscribe to us on YouTube or on any major podcast platform to support online poetry content. No poetry dropping with the pen clicks and poets get it popping with the pen click. You now rock with Kuya David, the pen click prime minister, out here with my brother Daniel Hees, the chubby fat god. And today we got the man with the lion-like mind state, so you know he the truest one. Like Buddha's son, we got the god, Judah 1. Let's get it.
In silence, I might find some wealth locked away behind most makers of noise and such material non-existence. I could touch it once. The non-existent. I existed there also, I suppose, but suppose I didn't. There I am in the isn't to be or not. I am hidden in 6 riddles of God, embodied, unraveled, and revealed in body. My spirit remains coiled like serpents, Naga, nigga, and Kundalini. I remember when mine exploded, my legs collapsed under an electric shock. Glued to floor, a certain seizure welcomed. I entered through doors made open by a priest's incantation, spellbound. Bound by letters and universal law, I attract. My attraction magnetized, radiated, and ionized. Melted nuclear fusion in every single nucleus. My light body remained human to the fullest extent. When certain lights bent, they made my curves. Mine first. As above, so below, the mystic said about the darkness, I witnessed the miraculous with my eyes closed. Such is the Zen I'm in. Such as the Tao, you know, is not the Tao. There are children who overstand and men who have managed a certain innocence. And when we have quenched the violence in ourselves, with fire and water, the earth and air remain, bound by much ether. These centers of self do not orbit, but have orbited influence over the all, but only the all that encompasses these centers. It is from the beginning of the cycle that we witness the true self, God embodied, and nobody is full until emptied of ego. I will let go again. Somewhere along the way, I balled my fist to fight, to hold. Lord, I relent since you relent not, and I am found to struggle against myself, my God, and memories of what I might be thought to be. Submission is key to these lessons, all new to me, all too familiar, all true beyond all lie I might believe. Might I believe in true religion with dirty jeans and hands unclean? Might I have heaven as well as hell in hand? Grant me the upper hand, sever that which steals peace. If you rend me in pieces, accept my remainder as whole. If even but a fingernail is left as holy. Lord, I claim holy in you. You claim more holy in me. If I might see what you see in me, that I might see you in fullness and live beyond the light you were shrouded by. I see you in my blinks. I acknowledge you. You acknowledge me when I think. Quantum leaps happen. Quantum leaps happen within these blinks.
Hey, let's go. Judah 1. God.
That's what's up.
Sheesh.
Welcome to the Clique.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Peace.
Hey,
It's a blessing. It's an honor to
Hey,
be
you just
here.
gave us a blessing with all those references to religions and spiritualities.
All
like,
of
yo,
it.
we got that.
And it's a lot of traveling.
Hey.
Been
Yeah,
traveling
blessed.
a little
Pomona
bit.
family, Pomona big brother, Dim Lights crew, Lion Like Mind State.
Dim Lights, Lion Light, Machine Pomona,
Machine Pomona.
IE. And goes
Bless. IE Poetry strong, dog. We out here.
strong.
Hey, Pomona strong.
Yeah, I'm from
stay
the
strong.
greater LA area. I have like no idea what they're saying. It's just like it's all Greek to me. I'm like, word.
West side. We'll just keep it at that.
Yeah, thanks.
West Coast.
West Coast, best coast, bro.
Hey, let's go.
Don't matter. All right, what's up?
Yeah. So right now we're gonna get into our first segment of the show, which is Threads and Lines, where we investigate what are the threads of life experiences that forge each line of poetry. Threads and lines.
This is all first verse. You about to get this work.
And with that, like I was saying earlier, you were giving us those blessings with all those religious references, and it was interesting because like I was talking earlier before this to Daniel about how a piece like this, if you were to go back like 1,000 years or like even like 500 years,
For like 100 years,
even like just 100 years ago, in order to write a piece like this, you either have to be like very well traveled, to have known about all these other religions and spiritual ideas, or be very well read, like a scholar. But today, in this modern era of information and democratized knowledge through the internet, it's like it is much more accessible for humans to be able to write this kind of piece where you're investigating like all these different ideas of philosophies and religions. So with all that said, like, how did you personally accumulate like this wealth of spiritual and religious knowledge?
You know, it's like the Bible says, you know, one book leads to another, line upon line, precept upon precept.
Look at this guy, always like pulling quotes off rib, bro. Off rib, let's go.
It is what it is. It's, you know, my name is Judah One. So,
some bars in the name, bro. Go ahead.
It wasn't.
All these references.
It wasn't like internet age. Like, you know, I was like 12 at home, and you know, or my mom would take me to church, and I hear the pastor say something, and then I read in the Bible, or I hear something, and then it'd be hip hop. What, you know, fully illuminated all the way. You know, the 5%ers, the gods of the earth. You know, they'd spit scriptures, but if you don't like know them, you don't know what they're saying. But I knew what they were saying, so it's like why they say it and why they say it like that. I want to know why they say it like that, because the pastor isn't presenting it that way. There's a secret to it. So I wanted to know the secrets. So here are the secrets.
I remember like just like listen to Wu-Tang and listen to like Rakim and just not knowing that they're spitting like a lot of 5%er stuff.
Oh, word.
And then like way later down the line when like Rap Genius came out, I'm like, oh, okay.
Mathematics, dog. Overstand.
Hey,
Bless
beloved,
the gods.
yo, we're trying to keep it 120, God. You know,
Word
like,
is bond.
Word is
I didn't do any of
word
that
is
stuff.
bound, God.
I didn't do any of that stuff, but I understood what they were saying just from the aspect of just spirituality.
Hey, yeah, and the
You know
God
what I
in
mean?
all of us. The
So
God
like,
that is in
you know, I just wanted to know how things connected, and it wasn't like internet age. It was like hearing things in hip hop. Then, you know, I would go and I would ask a rabbi. I'd ask a rabbi, you know, I'm reading some stuff, but I want to know, like, what do you think about what this just happened or whatever? Or I'd ask you know, an imam, or I would just ask.
But like, how did you come across Zen? How did you come across Tao? Like, because you did you come across that all when you were 12 or
No. Okay, so
yeah. So
Tao,
like, take us through your spiritual journey.
Oh man, so Tao and Zen, that part came about. I was 19. I was at Chaffey College, like Extension campus. There's a professor named Professor Gentry, dope dude. It was my intro to monotheistic religions class. And he was an armor-bearing church like maybe 20 years ago. Well, 40 years now, because that was 20 years ago. I'm old now. And damn near 15 years ago.
Age is nothing but a number,
right?
bro.
You know what I mean? You can't really tell. But you know, he was like, yo, I converted. I went over, you know, to Zen Buddhism, well, to Buddhism first, and then he went over to Zen Buddhism, and he was over into Japan and stuff. And, you know, he was like, we talked about it, and he was like, you know, David, they're really, you know, they talk about everything's the same. Stuff's not the same. Like, they call things different for a reason. Like, it's not the same thing. So, you know, people approach religion like, oh, it's all the same. No, you have not studied, because it's not the same thing. They call things different things for a reason. They have different energies, different frequencies.
Different approaches.
Right.
Yeah,
and you know, but you know, the closer you get to the source, then you know, the closer those are also to the source is just one thing. But it's like outside and auxiliary. It's like, okay, we got to approach this different ways, and it's really just seeing. I always saw religion not as like a square plane, but like a cube. Okay. So like if I see God and I know God is in front of me, but that's also a cube. I only see one part.
Right.
I only see a part. From where you're at right now, you already see another part. You already see another part. Now just think if he said something to us from far away. I heard it directly. You heard it with an accent. You heard it with a Y. We're fighting over the accent and the Y. That shit is stupid. Okay. So that's why I had to learn.
That universal truth.
Yeah, I had to learn what's being said, who took it where, what was said originally, how it broke up. Down to languages, down to thought concepts, down to philosophy, down to migration paths, down to fathers and sons. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on.
And that is an interesting point that you bring up, because like as a practicing Buddhist, you do often point people to that fact. Like there is a universal truth that's happening, but not enough are we pointing to the fact that there is clear delineations between all of this shit too. You know what I'm saying? There is rules, there is structures, and they're there for a reason, whether that's socially or spiritually. Right. They're there. You know what I'm saying? That's dope though. One thing that I found interesting with this, because I am practicing, right? And I do this as well. I try and write about my spirituality. That is something that you do. But it's always like different things for me. And this piece specifically, I wanted to know, what is this? Is this like you crystallizing your thoughts and being like, this is what I think, this is what I've gotten, these are the truths that I've had? Is this you kind of wandering through this journey and like kind of just showing the things that you've seen as you've gone through this journey or gone on this walk?
It almost sounds
so
like you're
speak.
trying to reflect on this wealth of knowledge that you've built over the years. And
Yeah.
are you trying to investigate through this piece?
When I had Machine Pomona, like it was an upstairs, downstairs joint. So like the first line of this is, in silence I might find some wealth locked away behind most noise and makers of material and such non-existence. Downstairs, they're making art, they're making material, right downstairs. Downstairs, they're making beats, they're making music, material and such non-existence behind makers of much noise. You know what I'm saying? And like where they're at mentally, I felt like I could touch it physically. You know what I mean? Like I'm in that frequency. So like, I was upstairs writing, and it was in silence, and I spent a lot of time in silence at Machine. And I think at the end, when I first wrote this poem, I actually astral projected for the first time. And I didn't know what actually happened to me, nor where I went, nor how long I was going. It felt like 30 seconds, but I feel like I saw a whole universe, and I don't feel like you can see a whole universe in 30 seconds.
Did you see some DMT or something? Or?
No, I just
straight pure, out the pineal gland, straight raw.
Straight raw.
Straight
raw.
So you're at the Machine writing this, right, on this spiritual journey. Yeah. And then this is what you came back with? This is like...
I came back and I was like, yo, God, what was that? What was that? And I got up and I fell down flat. And that's where I said...
My legs collapsed.
My legs collapsed. It wasn't necessarily the Kundalini, but just the experience. It was like too much. I fell down flat.
Yeah.
I was there for about a half hour on my face. I'm not praying. I'm like, I could not. I got up twice. I fell down head first, and I knew not to get back up.
All right. So you have this spiritual journey.
Sober too.
Yeah, sober.
That's amazing for me. I was like, yo.
Just on the gods, just on that meditation, just tapping in. And then you come out of that and you write this because of why? Why do you end up writing this?
So I was like, okay, now I'm digesting this. I've already digested. All this stuff is like, I've already come in contact with it 15, 16, 17. 28, 29, 30, 31 is when I'm writing this. Mm-hmm. All right. So it's like I'm coming back around full circle. It's like, okay, where did I go? One of my pastors said, like, one of my sins would be like Solomon. Where did Solomon go? Solomon went to, the mystery schools and stuff. They say he started Freemasonry and Masonry. So you see a lot of that kind of stuff there, but also at the end of Solomon's life, he wrote Lamentation, where he was like, yo, I did not want to learn all that shit. I did not mean to learn all that shit.
I can't unlearn this shit.
I can't unlearn it. Once you learn something, you are connected forever. I don't care what people say. You don't unlearn anything. And whatever you learn, knowledge is eternal. It's eternal. That's why it's important to learn the eternal one. You know what I mean? Because once you know them, you're connected. Same kind of premise. And so it's like, yo, I didn't want to learn those things. I cannot get that off.
Word.
I can't get it off. But I can apply it to my overall knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Right. And then like Solomon did, lay that shit down. Like,
and lay it down.
Sometimes a lot of these like seeds of knowledge just need time to grow and incubate in our minds. Because there's a lot of like concepts where like I heard about it when I was like 14, but it didn't make sense. I was
like going back to the 5%ers to overstand something. You know what I'm saying? To like really overstand something is a real thing. That is a real state of understanding that you only get when you really overstand something. That
is the death and resurrection.
It
is a death. Because learning all this, you like your reality shifts.
Yeah.
It's the death because you come out new.
Yeah, absolutely.
And real quick, I just want to point out that like the way this is written is bars as fuck.
Word.
Because when it comes to page poetry and stage poetry, like there's a lot of things that sometimes doesn't get across from page poetry to stage. Like there's a lot of like really dope like wordplay that you do here, like the True Religion, Dirty Jeans. It's because the way you said it, you kind of just like steamroll through it, but then like when you read it, it's like, oh, Dirty Jeans, like True Religions, or what I really fucked with was like human. So we're talking about like lights and colors and hue man, like hue as in like the colors,
He was in light.
and then and then human. Like there's a lot of like dope.
See you, Judah 1.
There's a lot of dope wordplay here that doesn't come that might not come across, but when it's read, it's written like very well.
And that's one thing that's true
you.
about like all your work. Anytime I see you perform something, I often think in my head like, man, I wish I had that in front of me right now.
Bro, like I need I need the Rap Genius annotations like real quick to read the sideline notes.
Yeah, but like Rap Genius, right? Like you could listen to the track and then figure out the science as you're looking at it. It's because I'll see poets and it's like, oh, I wish I could read that. Or I wish that I heard this as I'm reading it.
Word.
But Judah almost makes me want both. Like you make me want like, Judah, will you just stand here while I just Rap Genius your shit real quick?
And you know what? When I originally started writing, that's what I wanted. I wanted like, if I'm saying something, I don't want it. And people, you know, they critique me now like, you'll be more popular if you just said shit straightforward. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
I want you to wonder. Yeah. That's the point of poetry. I'm not just gonna give you the picture, G. I'm gonna show you the fucking frame and say, fill it up. This is what should be in it.
Yeah, word.
What does it look like to you?
Yeah, word.
Ain't that beautiful? I think that shit is ill.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyway.
I mean, like that is art, right? Art is meant for the individual to interpret, while like design is for the millions.
But
to
often
understand.
with poetry right now, especially performance poetry, there's not a lot to interpret. You know what I'm saying?
That's
There's not
the
a
point,
lot.
yeah.
But it also depends on the type of poetry.
This is what I'm saying. This is it, and there's no room.
Depends
for
on
you
the
to
type
play.
of poetry, right?
Yeah.
Like slam poetry, for example, is like where you're being scored and people have to know it then and now.
Yeah, they
Because
gotta
if
get it today.
If it goes over their head, then like.
You don't get your slam score in the car on the way home. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's like no, you're going to get judged like 20 seconds after like you get off stage.
Yeah. Like,
so they don't.
damn, that was a 10.
Yeah,
I gave him a
word.
5.
Like,
It was my fault. I didn't understand the hue reference. You know what I'm saying? That's my bad.
I mean, like, and I guess
just said light.
Yeah, word.
And that's what's dope about like in the modern era of slam, where like where they upload afterwards, and then the comments like, oh, this actually was like pretty whack, or oh, this actually was pretty tight.
Yeah, word.
Which brings us to which is a good segue to our next section.
To the next segment,
which is the two-piece combo.
Two-piece combo!
this episode for the big part of the two-piece combo, we're gonna watch Phil Kaye's Suburbia, brought to us by the beautiful people at Button Poetry. We see y'all. We appreciate you.
I'm seeing you now for the first time. I have not seen y'all before.
I love this place. The people, the community, the sense of stability. This place is amazing.
All right, real quick. Remember that the poem is called Suburbia, so he's probably talking about Suburbia.
Word.
Right.
The stability.
This place is amazing. this place is...
Remember, when you get on stage, you don't normally say the name of your poem, so I'm just supposed to know which poem.
Oh, good point.
Good point.
Is amaze the law of conservation. It says energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transformed from one state to another. 1945, Albert Einstein, a man of laws, creates the atomic bomb. 100,000 Japanese...
A little bit.
That was Oppenheimer, but whatever.
These houses implode,
created it.
and American suburbia explodes. 1970, read the paper. We are choking. The city.
He has a good voice.
She has been smoking.
Yeah, he does. He orates well.
There is her
I like
body.
his spacing, his pacing,
Wrinkled.
his pausing.
Cracking, loose. Out there on the fringe, there is plenty. Space so empty, you can stretch your arms out inside of her, thick, overgrown. That's how you know she is a virgin. 1970, this is the 20th century. We knew we'd reach the Pacific eventually. This is just our new manifest destiny by this time. The number of Americans living in suburbia has exploded by 300%. Locusts, hocus, pocus, poof! Smoke makes you choke, but at least it is air. City.
I feel like he put a lot into that smoke line just for that. At least it's air line. You know what I'm saying? He mentions it earlier, and now we're back to it. And like the whole hocus pocus into smoke was kind of meh.
Yeah, it was. It's light.
Just all of that, just for that one.
Yeah.
At least it's air line, which is a good line, but.
City wakes up mid-surgery. The suitcase of her chest ripped open.
I fuck with that line.
Her skyscraper
dog.
insides laid down
So I fuck with the surgery metaphor he's taking us on, right? Like the surgery and like wake up from the surgery, and like we're getting into like the surgery metaphor. But the suitcase of her chest.
What the fuck is that?
What does that mean, dog?
Where did that come from? You weren't talking about traveling. Where did that come from?
No, exactly.
Well, like I was saying,
are you a hobo? I mean, what you saying?
No,
well, Kuya tried to use it. Hit me earlier with like, oh, it's like city reference, right? Like you go to the city with the suitcase. Briefcase would have worked for me. Like open like a briefcase, like that would have thrown me.
If you're gonna move into the city, like some people have a lot of shit that they're gonna carry with them, so they're gonna come with a
shoehorn, dog. It's shoehorned in. It's shoehorned in.
Okay, I just didn't.
Also,
it's like it's just shoehorned in there.
A suitcase
like
you unbuckle, right? But a briefcase you unbuckle, but a suitcase you zip. And when you're talking about the mortuary, like the stitch zipper stitch. Like,
dog, you reaching, dog. I appreciate it.
Am I? Or is that poetry, bro? Is that fucking artistic interpretation?
He wasn't in a mortuary. He was in surgery.
Facts.
Yeah.
And he woke up.
Oh.
All right.
Facts.
City wake up.
Boom.
I listen up in this
briefcase, though.
You know,
been cooler.
the suitcase of my chest.
All right, we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree.
And what's in the
You
suitcase?
could have said my treasure chest.
What the fuck?
That would have been even better. Anyway.
Nurse, bring me more anesthesia. I was never truly sleeping.
And then we're back to nurses.
Just for a moment,
Back to surgery.
laid down sideways.
Confusing your
She
metaphors.
calls. Nurse,
Well, you know, the
bring
whole
me
point
more
is, you know, about being
anesthesia. I was never
confused.
truly
Anesthesia.
sleeping, just for a moment, American dreaming. The nurse, with a rag to our face, breathe, breathe. Everyone is happy.
I
Our
don't
little
feel
American
the emotions
sequel,
he's talking about.
Regal.
Like, I should feel it. Like there should be like some kind of urgency. Like I really feel confused.
Yeah, word.
But you know, we're not actors.
But
You know
he
what I mean?
is though. He is acting a lot in this, so
Yeah,
it's
but
fair to say.
But he's not an actor.
Yeah, but
No,
I
but-
would have
but-
liked a little bit more face play.
So
with
the whole like
confusion.
brief thing, you know, he's talking about the anesthesia. I mean, he's talking about like you know when you get put under, it's like take 5 breaths, and then like as he gets more and more doped up, he's starting to like everything's all right, like the American dream.
Yeah,
he's-
word.
I don't know, like it's levels, but
Back to Suburbia.
I think personally it's effective.
All right.
Separate, equal. The thing about weeds, Mr. Kennedy, is their penchant for multiplying. You let just one move into your community, and sooner or later you'll find one growing in your very own backyard. Well then, there goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood. Go farther, farther. City on a sill. Oops, had a little spill. Looked like an accident. Wouldn't quite call it kill. Farther, farther. Our little mazes, mouse traps, cul-de-sacs. This house is amazing. 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 Farther, farther. Father, raise me, graze me, open flame.
All right. I feel like right here, like the speed of it should be faster. And his urgency should be more like in his voice anyway. Even if the pace is the same, it should feel faster.
Yeah.
I don't feel shit.
And he could have done that again with
We are
his
not
voice.
all the same, are we? Are we? Run, eat, water, food fence. Run, eat, water, food fence. Breathe. Breathe.
Back to breathing.
Everyone is happy.
Back to breathing.
You're only making this more difficult
Anesthesia though.
for yourself.
I mean, look, if he really nailed that performance for me, I might have stayed. But based on,
Wow.
but based
You
on,
said I might have though. dog.
I'm really hard. I'm really hard on poetry.
I
but
know.
based on just listening to the dude, I would have went to the restroom and came back. I'm just being 100.
Word,
I would have went to the
word.
restroom. I wouldn't want to listen to you.
So that was Phil Kaye Suburbia. We're going to give it a quick slam score and kind of finalize our thoughts on all this. Yeah, there was some things in there that I just felt like were shoehorned in and didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
That last little bit with the weeds, I appreciate because, like when he's like the 1970s, I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? And it takes me a whole 3 listens to understand like white flight and like all of the things that he's actually talking about. He touches on like gentrification at the end there a little bit. And the weeds and like that whole thing was like a device to get us back into that concept. But I felt like even that was like a little shoehorned in there. Like there wasn't enough cohesion.
It's a bit contrived.
It's just there wasn't like enough cohesion with the whole metaphor of what he was talking about. So we have smoke, and that's the breathing metaphor. And then we're moving into anesthesia, and that's the breathing metaphor. And it's like, it's two different things. It feels like it was just a little bit convoluted.
Right. I do.
Shoehorned is really what I'm trying to say. It felt like a couple of things were put in there just to make it work. It does work. As a poem, it does work.
Also, I really took this as like, oh, this would have been a dope feature piece. This is not a good. This is not a good slam piece.
This is a great feature piece.
Going back to like when I was saying Judah's piece is like very well written and like it reads great.
Yeah,
I do feel like this poem that he's spitting is like probably reads a lot better than it sounds.
Word. That's fair to say.
And what I really appreciated about him and his piece was that he's trying to take a literary piece and perform it on stage, trying to turn page poetry, stage poetry, and to some effect, like you can hear the line breaks, you can hear like the little homophones that he's trying to slip in.
Yeah.
But a lot of it kind of gets lost in the oral delivery of it.
Word.
So in that case, like I would probably dock at some points if it was a slam piece. Matter of fact, if it was a slam piece,
out of 10, what
out
you
of
got
10,
on this?
I probably give like, because of sheer style, like I fuck with the style of it, like kind of a lot, because this is not something that you typically find at a slam.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, okay, that's brave, bro. It's like I'll give you props. I would want to see what he sees, what he gets in round 2, but I wouldn't necessarily push him all the way to round 2. So I'd probably give him one of those like 8.5s.
All right,
it's like it's enough that like he might see round 2, but if he doesn't see round 2, then I'm like, well, all right.
Yeah,
I'm mad.
Judah, what you got on this out of 10?
8.
An 8 just on the dot?
Just a hard 8 or a 7-9, one or the other, because
standing infinity.
Yeah, it's not enough for me to want to stand where I just stand in a room. I don't even want to stand there. It's like, all right, it's time to take a break.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't compelling enough. The urgent moments were not urgent enough.
I feel that.
You know what I'm saying? There are moods in there where, you know, he's saying something where he's like confused or whatever, but he's smiling a lot, so it's confused and shit. I'm not feeling it. I don't like it.
All right, an 8's fair though. That's a fair. I don't like it score.
To our audio only listeners, like there's a lot of hand gestures and body language that he does.
Go peep it. Go check it out.
Like he's slapping himself. He's putting his hand over his mouth as he breathes, like as if it's an anesthetic, like anesthesia that he's breathing in. There's a lot of stuff that probably gets lost, like audio only, that you listeners like. So yeah, go check it out.
I got a little bit less than Judah even on this. Because of like the one point that I completely agree with.
Give us that straight raw, Daniel. Let's go.
Well, he could have done more with the performance that would have made it work.
Okay.
Like Judah said, if he would have done some like urgency or would have like, because there's a thing you can do with your cadence and your delivery where it sounds faster, but you're actually just talking faster and louder by a fraction.
Half a second, half a hair.
It doesn't even need to be faster.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you escalate your voice, it will sound more urgent.
We need to feel it. It's a spoken art.
You want to create urgency. Mm-hmm. You want to create confusion. You want to create this like haze that he's trying to say, this smoke, this hocus pocus, this whatever. And he doesn't do that. And then on as well, the metaphors, because it could have also just relied more on the pen. Because if the metaphors were a little stronger, because I am a sit there with my eyes closed motherfucker.
That's
like I'll
me.
sit there
with
my eyes closed and listen to what is there for me to like absorb the words. And they also were just a little lacking for me.
It's lacking.
So I feel like a little bit more effort on either side would have gotten me to a higher score. But I'm going to leave it at, I'm going to say 7.7. Bless the gods. Just to be fair and nice.
Yeah.
I like that you say more effort on both sides, because when you were talking, I wanted to interrupt and say more effort on both sides. Just a little bit more.
Or even on
less,
one or the other.
One
or the other.
I feel like less on the performance side, more on the speaking side. Less on this shit.
Or,
you know
again, if he would have just created that urgency with his voice, then I would have maybe given him an 8.7.
But what I'm saying is that, like, I think stylistically it's fun enough and, like, novel enough for me to give him extra points, because it's like I'm like that one fighter in the ring that happens to do capoeira and actually knock somebody out.
Get one kick though,
homie. Bro, I want to see if you could do that again. So I'm sending him to round 2. Is what I'm saying. It's like, can Eddie Gordo really take the whole Tekken tournament? Is what I'm saying.
Yes, he can.
That's what's up.
All right, so that was the first piece of the 2-piece combo. The second piece of the 2-piece combo is where we look at a piece on Instagram via #poetry. We are reviewing a piece of poetry from Instagram via #poetry. The first piece that comes up under #poetry. And on this episode, we have Miss.Reflection. Mr. Judah, could you do us the honor of reading MS's poem?
It reads as thus. Your laugh is the best sound I have ever heard. No period.
DJ Clue Bomb.
All right. So for everybody that don't know, we're going to give it a little critique and review. I'm going to jump off because I got words. This is not a poem, homie.
Facts.
This is not even an attempt at a poem, homie. You could have made a haiku that would have said the same thing and it would have been a poem. You could literally have just said the same thing and like syllabically formatted it and it would have been a poem, but you didn't. You just said some shit that sounded pretty, and that's not poetry, dog. It sounds nice. That's a beautiful fucking thing. If somebody told me that, I would feel so good, but I wouldn't be like, you're a poet. I would be like, don't give me some bait ass line. That's a line. It's a line. It's a cute line. I like it. Let's go. But this. I don't want to say the show's no promise, but this, how is it, man?
Let's
I'm gonna say a 4. I'm just gonna go out and say a 4 because this isn't a poem.
I want us to go into.
And she hashtagged this a lot. She hashtagged this art,
Facts.
poetry community, poems, love quotes.
Yeah,
This is a love quote.
Yeah, this is a poem for sure in her eyes. But let's go back to the way back machine to an episode with Miss Lady Bosco where there was a 3-word poem.
There was.
And it went thus: "Be you bravely."
Yeah,
and both you guys gave that 10s. And I was the only one.
No.
I was like, There ain't no syllable structure to this. This ain't bars.
Go back.
And today in 2019,
Rewind.
Mr. Hees,
We said, me and the wonderful.
I pulled the receipts, God. What's good?
Me and Lady B said, and I will quote us as saying this on the rewind. Go check it out. We both said, if we were at a slam and first round, you went up there and did that, we would both be like, you know what? You're going to get a 10 to go through. But third round, get the fuck out of here.
Facts.
And if Bosia did that, that's a poem forever. That's a poem forever. That is what we said. We both said,
okay,
we could see Bosia doing that and turning that into a poem.
And it was an Instagram poem too. So what makes this different?
What makes it different is I could go on stage and I could comfortably, as a poet and performer, go on stage and know that I could do something with Be You Bravely.
Okay.
I know I could either with performance, inflection, I could repeat it enough to where, you know what I'm saying? I could turn that into something. There's nothing to turn this into. This sounds like a line.
That's not true because this is a whole sentence here. Your laugh is the best sound I ever heard, girl. You my whole world,
it's girl. Still just a line, though. It doesn't incite anything.
As opposed to 3 words?
Line upon line.
I feel you. But what I'm saying, Be You Bravely incite something. That is going to inspire you to, what does bravery mean to you? What does being you mean to you? What do those things together mean to you? This is just your laugh is nice. I like you. This is just, I like you. Ooh, I'm trying to get that. That's all this is, dog. That's all this is. So I stand by that, Lady B. I know you would too. Power to the people. Bravely, 4 points.
Were the last
4 points, homie.
If this were the last word, the last sentence of a full poem, it work out.
Hey, yeah, word.
As is
just a sentence.
This is a dope end to a love poem.
It's just a sentence.
Yeah.
All right, so
every sentence is not poetry, but every sentence can be poetry.
Rate it out of 10. Out of 10.
I mean, how do I rate a sentence? I mean,
hey yo,
your laugh is the best sound I've ever heard. That's cool. 4. All right, 4. That's cool.
4.
Okay.
All right, so here's the thing. All right, guys. It's like
I like the quick response from Judah. 4, 8, dog. That's what it is. So math is real. I'm already doing the math. I already did the math.
You know, in today's political climate, we tend to be so harsh on people who tend to flip flop on opinions. But the thing is that as we grow in life, out
of here, dog.
We all mature, and it is fine to change opinions. Because we come across new information, and as you should, scientists, they update their theories when there's new evidence involved. That being said, Mr. Dan, maybe this is showing some personal growth for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
From 3 words to not giving a fuck about one sentence. I mean, go ahead. But as I said that day, you could go back to that episode where I said, fuck out of here. This is not a poem. I'm still saying, fuck out of here. This is not a poem. This is not even a dope line.
No, it's all right.
If we're talking about prose, this is not even a dope prose line, bro. Your laugh is the best sound I ever heard. Word.
That's a lie too, homie. That's a lie.
Facts.
That's not even true. That can't even be true.
Have you ever heard my niece's laugh?
Have you ever word a baby's laugh?
I farted in the water once. That shit was great.
That's hilarious. Farts are funny. Farts are a better sound than some strange person laughing. I don't give a fuck.
If you have a break laugh like Lilu from Fifth Element, like ha ha ha.
And really, dog?
Nah.
You ain't never heard Cuban Links? You ain't never heard a Thelonious Monk, dog?
Whoa.
The laugh's the best sound you ever fucking heard, dog?
What else?
Sun Ra.
4. Let's move on. Off of the 2 piece.
I give that a 0.
A 0.
Right.
That's fair.
2.
All right.
Out of the 2 piece and on to the last part of the show, my favorite part of the show. We're going to watch the guest flex real quick with that 5 for your eye.
Yes, sir. 5 for your eye is where we give the poet 5 words. They must make a poem using any style, any format, but they must use all 5 words. We haven't figured out a penalty. If they don't, we will someday, but not today.
Hey.
And Mr. Daniel, what were his 5 words?
So Judah One to God, Pen Clicking Up. We gave him opaque, service, anchor, ready, and hollow.
Boom.
Hey, let's go. So we gave him 5 words. He could do whatever he wanted with them as
Judah
long as it was
up.
a poem. Let's go. Thank you, Bass God. Judah One with the science.
I ain't do shit with it. All right,
Let's get
it. I had 2 poems that I wrote. One was long, one was short. My phone's at 1%. In service to the opaque one, I am a hollow anchor, ready.
Hey, let's go, dog. I've been waiting for somebody to do that. Like, hit us with, like, the most minimalist thing possible. Like, I'm not going to add shit to this, but what I need to. And that's exactly what Judah just did.
And that was more than one line. That was an actual poem.
Yeah, word. Let's go. That's how you do it. Short format poetry on the Pen Click. 5 words. 5 words. And then what was that, 10 words, dog? Turn 5 words into 10 words and drop that science?
Hey, double it up, flip it up, then got freak it. You know what I'm saying? That's
Judah
what
One.
it is.
Hey, thanks for being here, Star. We
Yes,
appreciate you. Tell them all where they can hit you at, where they can find you.
Yo, IG Judah One, Machine Pomona, Lion Like Inc. Also, my website, The Art of David Judah. That's it. Peace.
Go find this man, y'all. Judah One. Let's go. Be sure to check it out. Check out everything we doing on the Instagrams at Pen Clique.
PENCLIQUE. You can connect with us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are at The Pen Clique. THEPENCLIQUE. Unless that guy fucking releases the name Pen Clique and give it to the rightful heirs
You ain't
to the
using
throne.
it, homie.
You ain't doing shit with it.
You ain't been
Let
using
it.
it. Let us have it.
Your last tweet was in 2014, bro. Fuck out of here. Give it to us.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Check out everything we doing over at Chubby Fat, thechubbyfat.com, at thechubbyfat. We appreciate you. We love y'all. Go write something.
Yes, sir.
Lion Like Mine, stay.
Boom.